Well, we close out the show with another story about our struggle to help the natural world in its difficulty, sometimes surviving what we've done to it. You might have noticed that there are many dead pelicans or dying pelicans around our area, and people are reporting them, sometimes don't know what to do when they see one. So we are going to be talking with Amy Redfeather of Native Animal Rescue of Santa Cruz County. And I will mention this is not just a local problem in the Monterey Bay, but it's being seen all up and down the coast from San Francisco to down near San Diego. So welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here with us on Talk of the Bay.
Thank you for having me.
You told me earlier that you've finally kind of gotten a breath. What has it been like this past month in your native animal rescue when all these pelicans have come in?
Well, it got pretty busy for a minute there. We didn't have walking room, and we didn't really have anywhere to put the pelicans that were coming in. We had to set up some triage areas for them, but that luckily has dwindled for us, and we only have a few at a time now. Most of those pelicans that are coming in are hooked with fishing lines, so as sad as that is, it's more of a normal thing for us than seeing, 60 or 70 sick ones at a time.
Right. It was a real flood there, and people were reporting them just standing around, which is not normal pelican behavior, looking sickly.
Correct.
Do we know anything about what was afflicting them or what might be continuing to afflict them?
Well, we know that they were starving. We know that as soon as we got them fed that they were doing much, much better. They were simply starving. That's pretty much all that was wrong with them. So we are assuming that they were not able to get enough fish while they were out fishing. This can be for a lot of, unnatural and natural reasons. But at the end of the day, they were very, very hungry.
What should somebody do if they see a sick pelican just hunched there on the wharf or on their lawn or wherever?
If you see a pelican that you think is not in the right place or looks sickly, you can call us here at Native Animal Rescue at 831-462-0726. That's our hotline, and it's on from sunup to sundown every single day. So you can call us whenever you see one of those guys, and we'll send a rescuer out to scoop them up if we can.
So don't try it yourself, right?
You can try it yourself if you're feeling courageous. Give us a call, and I'll walk you through how exactly you can do that. We have lots of citizens that are scooping up pelicans for us, and it's a relatively easy thing to do with some instructions. So if you feel like that's something that you'd like to do, give us a call, and we'll walk you through it. They do have parasites called sea lice that crawl all over you, but they can't bite you, so that's good.
You just get covered in bugs, but they won't bite.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
comforting.
Yeah, it's a little disconcerting, but that's about it.
Be forewarned, but they don't bite. That's good. And pelicans can't really bite you. They might snap at you with their bill, but I don't think they don't have any teeth.
Yeah, they don't have any teeth, and they don't have too much crunching power, so they can try to punch you with that big beak of theirs, but as long as you have a good hold on the beak, there's not very much they can do.
Yeah. So it must have been quite stressful to try to save these critters. I read somewhere that there was only a 30% survival rate for these guys when they're brought in. Is that what you got to see, sadly?
We saw a bit more success than that. Let's say, out of 100, maybe 20 didn't make it. So we actually had a really good success level if we were able to get them in quickly, get them warmed up, hydrated, and fed.
Right. So do you guys buy your fish to feed the pelicans? And if so, are they fishing it from the same place the starving pelicans are fishing?
We order our fish from all different places. They're not necessarily taking it from the Monterey Bay. We get from Stagnaro's, and there's another company in Watsonville that has been donating some fish for us. But they don't necessarily pull that from the Monterey Bay.
Oh, that's kind of a relief, because you can imagine that it would be robbing Peter to pay Pelican.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we don't yet know if it was just a matter of the fish not being there, or whether the fish, weren't there because they were going extinct or being overfished. Is that something you're looking into as well? Is just why weren't there enough fish for the normally fed pelicans?
Yes, so some years the water is too warm, so the fish go too deep for the pelicans to reach. That can be a cause. Sometimes the fish just aren't well. One year, the meers, for instance, were eating a lot of fish that were making them sick. So we needed to get them fed with different fish in order for them to survive. It could be something like domoic acid, that we start seeing during the summer, but luckily, most of the pelicans tested negative for that. But it could be all manner of things when it comes to the fish. They could just simply not be in the bay, which happens sometimes. Luckily, lots of people have called saying they see pelicans fishing out there now, so that's a good sign for us.
Yeah, yeah. And the fact that you don't have as many coming in is also maybe we're over the hump here of the pelican die
Correct.
off and
Yes,
sickening.
and the ones that are coming in are because of humans hooking them with their fishing line and hooks. So that we can fix that pretty easily as long as we could get the pelican in and get the hooks out the proper way.
Have you been doing some necropsies on some of the dead ones to figure out that it wasn't plastic or domoic acid or other things causing these pelicans to die?
Yes, so we work closely with International Bird Rescue, and they have some wonderful vets up there, and Fish and Wildlife has as well been doing necropsies to determine what's been going on. And what they've seen is, what we were told, that they are just very hungry. They don't have much meat on them, and they're about half the weight that they should be.
Wow, wow. Yeah, and for a pelican, I don't know how much one weighs normally, but there isn't much to go on there. They're not as big as they look. They have big wings, but their bodies aren't all that large.
Correct. Yeah, there's not a lot of room for meat, and you can tell when these pelicans are coming in that they're very, very light. Usually, they're a somewhat heavy bird, and the ones that we were getting in during that period were a portion of what they should have weighed.
We don't really think of birds getting hypothermia like people do. If you're in the water without a wetsuit here, it's like, what is it, 15 minutes before you start to show signs of hypothermia. But birds are exposed to the same cold temperatures, right? How do they stay warm?
Correct. So if they have enough meat on them and their feathers are working properly, they shouldn't have a problem with this. But once they get below a certain weight, they really struggle to keep warm. So if you see them sitting there shivering, that's likely the cause. They likely need to be warmed up and hydrated. So give us a call right away if you see that. And you really shouldn't see any seabirds shivering. We see a lot of seabirds get hypothermia from being too weak. So any seabirds you see that are shivering, you can call us right away.
But you don't have the capacity, or do you, to fish them out of the ocean if they're struggling?
We often do. We have several rescuers with boats that have been going out sort of nonstop to get the ones that are particularly hooked at the wharf. So a lot of lines are being cut, and the birds are getting wrapped around the pilings of the wharf. So we have rescuers to go out and scoop those up out of the ocean.
Wow, that you guys are really heroes, I have to say. How many volunteers do you have doing this work?
We have probably 30 volunteers at the helm, ready to go and get birds. We have maybe 3 that have boats, so we put them through a lot, unfortunately. It'd be nice to have some more rescuers with boats that can help us. But everyone else, goes on land to do whatever we can to get them.
Hey, K-Squid, we are ocean-oriented station. We love the ocean. We named ourselves K-Squid on purpose. If you have a boat and you're listening, what should they call if they want to volunteer to be a hero to the pelicans?
If you would like to be a hero to our local pelicans, you can give me a call personally at 831-332-2368. That's my cell phone. You can call or text that anytime. We'd love to have you on board.
And I love the name. Your name is Amy Redfeather.
Thank you. Yes.
That's a perfect name for a bird rescuer. Are you seeing, you probably aren't seeing marine mammals, right? Because you guys don't handle those.
Luckily for us, the Marine Mammal Center is on the front lines for that. And we have been getting lots of calls that we are referring to them. So unfortunately, we are seeing an uptick in sick sea lions and stranded sea lion pups. And if you see any of those guys, they also have a hotline at 415-289-7325. Those last 4 spell SEAL.
Wow. Wow. Well, I really appreciate this. I'm not done with you yet, so don't go away. I did just have curiosity about what's the most exotic wild animal that's been brought in for care to you?
To me, it's not necessarily exotic, but it's very cool. We received 3 long-tail weasel orphans this year. They
Oh,
are native to the area, but when we had rodenticides, being circulated, we didn't see very much of them. And now that those have been banned, we're seeing them all over the place, and we just love them. They take care of rodents for us, eat lots of gophers, and are a really important part of our ecosystem. So we were overjoyed to get those guys back to the wild this year.
and how do you get them not to become dependent on humans and act like pets? How do you keep them wild?
Weasels are notoriously aloof, so they don't really want anything to do with us, even if we raise them very closely. By the time they're done with their formula, they don't want anything to do with us. They get very mean very fast, and that's to our benefit.
No
So we
cuddling a
also
weasel, y'all.
exactly. So we want to make sure they don't see too much of us. Once we are hands off, that's it. We don't touch them again or see them again, and then we release them to the wild when they're well grown.
I have a question about raccoons. I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and for years, when I first lived there back in, the mid '90s, all the way into the 2000s, we had major raccoon invasions of our home, and well before the 2020 CZU fire, they just seemed to have disappeared. Are you aware of why that might be? Are they getting sick? And have you seen a lot of sick raccoons before they just stopped coming in at all?
So unfortunately, what we've seen every year for the past several years, and I've heard stories from previous rehabbers that this has happened before, is we have a virus going around called distemper. And distemper nearly wiped out, I feel, the entire raccoon population. They have made a little bit of a comeback, but every summer we're seeing another uptick in this very contagious disease.
Is there anything you
So
guys can do for them once they're brought in sick with it?
if they come in with distemper, unfortunately, there's not. There's no real way to tell the difference between distemper and rabies when you're looking at it, from a clinician view. So oftentimes those animals, unfortunately, have to be euthanized. If we get one in that is not sick with distemper symptoms, we can try to save them, but it's very, very difficult. Grown raccoons, we can't accept at all. They're just too dangerous.
I was going to say, yeah.
The babies we can definitely try our very, very best to save. And it is, unfortunately, a disease that is contagious to dogs as well. So everybody should make sure that their dogs are up to date on their vaccines, as we are starting to see a lot of it again just now.
Wow. So you probably don't take in coyotes either, I would imagine.
We do, yeah. We got one from Davenport yesterday that had been hit by a car. It recovered so well overnight that we released it this afternoon. It came in fairly unconscious, and it made such a turnaround that we sent it right back to its pack to continue its life.
Well, I had a really happy experience with you guys a long time ago. I was driving in the rain, and I saw these 2 hawks struggling with their talons locked, and one of them dropped onto the pavement right in front of me from maybe 30 feet high, just landed on the ground. I wrapped it in my slicker, which was probably a bad idea, drove it to y'all. Yeah, because it could have erupted out of my raincoat, and then what would have happened to me? But it didn't.
Yes.
It didn't, and it just sat there. And you guys took it in, and then I got a call from you saying it had laid an egg.
My goodness.
It was a red-tailed hawk. It was probably protecting its nest when it was fighting with this other one.
Yes.
It got released. It was perfectly healthy. The chick did not ever hatch, but it was really wonderful what you guys did, and I want to thank you. And thank you for being on Talk of the Bay. It's really a pleasure. I hope to have you back. And it seems like there's tentative good news about the pelicans, so thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
Amy Redfeather, you're a hero. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and anytime.
All righty. You take
Okay.
care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.